Hello and welcome to the WIHS Journal, Public Affairs from 104.9. I'm Paul Kretschmer. On today's broadcast, we'll be discussing how to manage your pet for the sake of everyone being happy, the animal and the family. My guest today is Dr. Carol Osborne from Sebring Falls, Ohio.
It was in the news recently that the governor of South Dakota had an incident some time ago with a dog, with a pet. And it's been given...
Kristi Noem.
Kristi Noem, right. As a veterinarian, what's your perspective on what you've heard about that, as far as pet aggression is concerned?
Well, I think that it's important to understand that aggressive dogs are very real. 4.5 million people get bitten by dogs each year. Over 50% of those people are children between the ages of 5 and 9. Last year, the average cost of a claim, for example, is about $60,000 to $65,000 per claim. And of the 800,000 claims that were turned in, 17 of those people actually died. So as is one thing for you and I to sit and say, well, should she have done it or shouldn't she have done it? There's so many more things that go into the picture that aren't always easy for someone to, understand up front. So, aggressive dogs are very real. The German Shepherd #1, President Biden's dog Commander, bitten multiple people in the White House, followed by Rottweilers are #2. But of all the dogs that bite people and children, the pit bull is #1, and most of those dogs are unneutered male dogs. Just being the most aggressive in general, if you will. So I think that important considerations to try to avoid situations like the one that Kristi Noem experienced with her dog. I'm sure she's a great governor, but I doubt that she's a dog expert, a veterinarian, or a dog trainer. As a veterinarian practicing for many years, I can tell you that, first of all, when you choose a pet, you never choose a pet for someone else. I see people that go out and buy Rottweilers and German Shepherds, and then they come in and they tell me that it's for their child. Huge mistake. Those are dogs for adults like you or me, for example, Paul. So never choose a dog for someone else. The person getting the dog needs to be the person that chooses the dog, matching the personality of the pet to the personality of the person. I always say is a very top consideration. Now, if you end up with a dog that looks like he might have aggressive tendencies, certainly neutering the animal, removing the source of the male hormone testosterone, will decrease aggression. That's just an absolute fact. Doesn't mean that everybody that has a dog that they kind of know he's aggressive, but they don't really want to say anything, does get that animal neutered. Certainly not. Unfortunately, in my experience as a practicing veterinarian, in most cases, it's the exact opposite. When an owner sees something that maybe they don't want to see, do they address it head on, or do they turn their head and pretend like, maybe I didn't really see that? Again, Paul, it's usually #2, not #1. So I think that education is paramount. When do most of these people and children get bitten? It's the homes with multiple pets. Most of the bites occur right in the person's home or on the individual's premises. California #1, first state with the most bites, followed by Florida #2 and Texas #3. So I think that common sense, not buying on impulse, and doing your homework are 3 very, very important considerations that anyone should make before getting a pet. Other things to consider would be your finances, because there's a definite cost associated with getting any pet. They have medical expenses that you have to be prepared for each year, grooming expenses, and then there's food. Look at the cost of food lately. It's skyrocketing.
I'm a dog owner, so I know what you're talking about on that one.
Yeah. And I was just going to say is, don't think that the price of dog food hasn't doubled and tripled, because it absolutely has. I see people coming into my veterinary clinic here in the quiet little town of Chagrin Falls, Ohio, and they don't realize that pets get sick, or that pets have medical needs. And they come with a cost, with a definite cost. And then other things to consider, Paul. What about your neighbors? Do they have pets? Do you live in the city or the country? Do you live in Florida where it's warm and humid and there's a lot of water, or Alaska? So, the breed of pet, the personality, the size, all of those factors are a big deal. That again need to correlate with that particular individual receiving the pet. And I think that if more people would just take their time, do their homework, go through the checklist of what do I need to think about and consider before actually bringing a pet into the home, so that, this should be a lifelong commitment. And unfortunately, right now, shelters are overcrowded with all these dogs that have been surrendered for one reason or another. And in the vast majority of cases, the one reason is a personality issue, specifically these aggressive tendencies, which in most cases, just don't work out. Certainly in the case of Christy Nome, what do you do when you think your dog's not behaving quite right? Well, take him to your veterinarian. There are medical problems, something as simple as an ear infection. A little kid goes up to a dog, pats it on the head, touches his ear by accident. The dog bites the child. Is it a mean dog? Probably not. But did the child inadvertently irritate an ear that was already painful? Probably yes. So let the veterinarian rule out medical problems, which obviously is what veterinarians do. And if simple measures don't seem to get the trick done, you've ruled out medical issues, then we do have board certified veterinary behavioral specialists. These are people that have taken an additional 5 years of education specifically to deal with behavior, personality issues of these different dogs. And they are extremely qualified to deal with a situation like that. And again, unfortunately, Paul, there are cases where, despite your best efforts, there are some dogs, I think, in situations where they're just extremely aggressive, and the normal means of dealing with these animals just isn't always effective. I think in over 90% of the cases it is effective, but there are always certain cases where, despite our best efforts, we're unable to achieve a successful solution.
Thank you very much for the generosity of your time. It's always nice to touch base with you from time to time as things come up that people are aware of and would like to have an authoritative answer from. Thank you for being the go-to person for pets and so on, Doctor.
Well, Paul, thank you for having me, and I'd love to talk pets with you anytime in the future.
Once again, my guest on today's broadcast about how to manage your pets successfully so that they and you are both happy, Dr. Carol Osborne from Chagrin Falls, Ohio. For further information on what you heard on today's broadcast, call us at 860-346-1049, 860-346-1049. We also can accept mail at office@wihsradio.org. That's office@wihsradio.org. The opinions expressed are those of the participants, not necessarily those of the staff or management of the station. For the WIHS Journal, I'm Paul Kretschmer. The WIHS Journal is a public affairs presentation of 104.9 WIHS.